Festival tragedy. I never thought a simple street festival could unravel my mind like that. But looking back, it started with her. My name's Alex Thompson, and I live in a quiet suburb just outside Seattle. Or at least I used to think it was quiet. I was going through a rough patch, lost my job as a graphic designer, bills piling up, and this nagging loneliness that wouldn't quit. That's when I met Sarah. She showed up at my door one evening, smiling like she'd known me forever. Said she was new in town, needed directions to the local Filipino festival happening that weekend. I offered to take her. Figured, why not? It was supposed to be a celebration. Food trucks, music, dancing under the lights. Harmless fun. We hit it off right away. Sarah had this way about her. Magnetic, you know? Dark hair, sharp eyes that seemed to see right through you. She laughed at my dumb jokes, touched my arm just enough to make my skin tingle. By the end of that first night, walking through the crowds with her, I felt alive again. The festival was buzzing, vendors hawking grilled skewers, kids running around with glowing toys, a band playing upbeat tunes on a makeshift stage. We danced a little, shared some lumpia. She leaned in close and whispered, "This feels like fate, Alex." I believed her. But then, the disturbances started. Small things at first. We'd be talking and she'd finish my sentences like she knew my thoughts before I did. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, convinced I heard whispers outside my window, faint, like echoes of her voice. I brushed it off as stress. After all, Sarah was perfect. She cooked for me, listened to my rants about my ex-boss, even helped me tweak my resume. "Your wish is my command," she'd say with a wink. It was cute, at first. A week after the festival, things got weirder. We were back at my place watching some old thriller on TV. The plot involved a woman who manipulated her partner with subtle mind games. Nothing supernatural, just pure psychology. Sarah paused the movie, turned to me and said, "What if that's us? What if I'm pulling your strings?" She laughed it off, but her eyes, they didn't laugh. That night I dreamed of the festival again. Only this time the crowds parted, and I saw a black SUV barreling through. People screaming, bodies flying. I woke up sweating. Sarah's arm draped over me like a weight. I tried to shake it, told myself it was just a nightmare, maybe inspired by some news clip I'd half heard. But the dreams kept coming, each one more vivid. In them, I wasn't a bystander. I was driving the SUV, my hands on the wheel, foot on the gas, plowing into the festival crowd. The smells hit me hard. Burnt rubber, metallic blood, fried food turned sour. I'd jolt awake, gasping, and Sarah would be there stroking my hair. "Shh. It was just a dream," she'd murmur. "You're safe with me." One morning over coffee, I mentioned the dreams casually. Her face went still. "Tell me more," she said, leaning in. I did, described the chaos, the screams, the way the vehicle ripped through the vendors near that school field. She nodded slowly, like she was filing it away. That afternoon, she suggested we go for a drive. "To clear your head," she said. We ended up at a park overlooking the water. But on the way, she pointed out a street that looked eerily familiar. "Doesn't this remind you of something?" she asked. My stomach twisted. It was like the festival layout in my dreams. Long block, open space, easy to speed through. That's when doubt crept in. Was she planting these ideas? I started noticing patterns. She'd hum tunes from the festival band, mention accidents in crowds like it was small talk. My phone would buzz with notifications. Articles about similar tragedies, pop-up ads for black magic forums. Coincidence? Maybe. But then I'd catch her staring at me while I slept. Her lips moving silently, like she was whispering commands. I confided in my buddy, Mark. We'd been friends since college. Solid guy, always had my back. I met him at a coffee shop, away from Sarah. "Dude, something's off," I said, voice low. "These dreams, they're messing with me. And Sarah, she knows things she shouldn't." Mark frowned, sipped his latte. Like what? I told him about the festival nightmare, how it felt so real. He pulled out his phone, searched something. Wait, there was a thing in Vancouver last year. SUV plowed into a Filipino festival crowd. Multiple dead, including kids. Driver was some young guy, claimed he blacked out. My blood ran cold. The details matched my dreams exactly. The black Audi, the screams, the tow truck hauling it away. Mark leaned in. You think she's, what? Hypnotizing you or something? I laughed it off, but inside, panic bloomed. That night, back home, Sarah was waiting. Where were you? She asked, smile tight. I lied, said I was job hunting. She nodded, but her eyes sharpened. Good, we don't need distractions. As we ate dinner, she casually mentioned, I heard about this awful event up north. Car into a crowd. Tragic, right? Makes you wonder what drives someone to do that. The horror spiraled from there. The dreams intensified. Now, I wasn't just driving. I felt the rage building. This uncontrollable urge to accelerate. Whispers in my head. They deserve it. Clear the path. Your wish is my command. I'd wake up with scratches on my arms like I'd clawed at myself. Sarah started leaving little notes around the house. Remember the festival? Or drive safe? My reflection in the mirror looked wrong. Eyes hollow. Face twisted in ways that weren't mine. I confronted her one rainy evening. Thunder rattled the windows as I paced the living room. What are you doing to me? I demanded. These dreams, they're not mine. You're putting them there. She sat on the couch, calm as ever. Alex, you're stressed. Let me help. She reached for my hand, but I pulled back. No, tell me the truth. Who are you? For the first time, her mask cracked. A slow smile spread. I've always been here. In your head. You invited me in that night at the festival. That's when it hit me. The hook that pulled me under. She wasn't new in town. In my dreams, she was there in the crowd whispering just before the crash. But in reality, had she been? My mind blurred the lines. Was the Vancouver tragedy real? Or had she fed it to me? I grabbed my keys, bolted for the door. I'm leaving, I said. She stood, voice soft. You can't. We're connected now. I drove aimlessly that night, rain slicking the roads. The whispers followed, her voice in my ear, urging me toward a nearby street fair. Lights flickered ahead, crowds milling about. My foot hovered over the gas. Do it, the voice said. Clear the path. I slammed on the brakes, heart pounding. Pulled over, called Mark. Help me, I begged. He came, drove me to his place. We searched her online. Nothing. No socials. No history. Like she didn't exist. But she found me. The next morning, a note under Mark's door. Your wish is my command. He freaked, said we should go to the cops. I agreed, but as we headed out, my phone rang. Unknown number. Her voice. Come home, Alex? Or Mark pays. I hung up, but doubt gnawed. Was this real? Or was I breaking down, projecting my guilt onto her? I'd always been insecure, quick to blame others for my failures. Maybe the dreams were my subconscious, my anger at the world, manifesting as violence. The climax came that evening. I returned home alone, telling Mark I'd handle it. The house was dark, shadows stretching like fingers. Sarah waited in the kitchen, a candle flickering. You think I'm the monster? She said. Look closer. She handed me a mirror. In it, my face, but not. Eyes wild, lips curled in a sneer. The whispers swelled, not hers, but mine. Drive, destroy, command. The twist slammed into me. There was no her. Sarah was me. A fractured part of my psyche, born from isolation, amplified by that festival night when I'd fantasized about chaos to escape my pain. Or was she? The mirror shattered in my hand. Blood dripped, warm and real. I fled again, but the dreams persist. Even now, as I tell you this, I hear her, waiting. Fear isn't always an external shadow. It's the voice inside that echoes your darkest commands, turning wishes into nightmares you can't escape. And sometimes, the real horror is realizing you commanded it all along. Perfect match. Fear doesn't always announce itself with shadows and screams. Sometimes it wears a beautiful smile and promises you everything you've ever wanted. The most dangerous monsters are the ones that make you grateful to be their prey. I should have known something was wrong when she said we were destined to meet, but desperation makes you ignore red flags, doesn't it? My name is David, and 3 months ago, I thought I'd found the woman of my dreams. Now, I'm not even sure I'm still alive. I was broke. Not just tight on cash broke, but eviction notice, ramen for dinner again broke. My web design freelance work had dried up, and my landlord was getting creative with his threats. That's when I saw the ad. Looking for genuine connection, successful professional seeks authentic relationship, generous nature. The profile picture showed a stunning woman with dark hair and mysterious eyes. Her name was Elena. Something about her smile made my heart skip, but looking back, maybe that was a warning. We matched instantly. Her first message was simple: when two people are destined to meet, the universe makes it happen. I should have been creeped out, but I was lonely. So damn lonely. We talked for hours that first night. She told me she was a marketing executive, traveled frequently, owned property investments. She seemed perfect. Too perfect. But when you're drowning, you don't question the rope thrown to you. 3 days later, she invited me to her place. A beautiful penthouse downtown, the kind I could never afford. When I arrived, she was waiting with expensive wine and a smile that made me forget all my problems. "I've been so alone, David," she whispered, touching my face. "Just like you." That night, she held me like I was precious, like I mattered. For the first time in months, I felt wanted. But when I woke up the next morning, she was gone. A note on expensive paper: "Had to leave for business. Make yourself at home. Back soon. E." The apartment was immaculate. Too clean. No personal photos, no mail, no signs anyone actually lived there. Just perfection. Days passed. Then, a week. Elena would text sporadically: "Missing you. Trip extended. Enjoy the apartment." I should have left, but where would I go? My lease had expired. My credit was shot, and Elena's place was warm, safe, stocked with food I couldn't afford. I convinced myself she cared about me, that this was real. The neighbors occasionally asked about the woman who lived here before. Strange. Elena never mentioned anyone else. But when you're comfortable, you don't ask hard questions. 2 weeks in, I found the basement. Hidden behind a bookshelf was a door I'd somehow missed. It opened to reveal stairs leading down into darkness. My phone's flashlight revealed a room. But not just any room. The walls were covered with photographs. Dozens of them. All men. All alone in what looked like this apartment. Different furniture arrangements, but the same windows, same layout. At the center of the wall was a photo of me, sleeping in Elena's bed. My hands shook as I looked closer. Each photo had a date written beneath. The most recent was from 2 months ago. A man named Marcus. Below his photo, in elegant handwriting: "Departure, voluntary." But Marcus looked terrified in the picture. I found a filing cabinet. Inside were folders, one for each man in the photos. Bank statements, credit reports, personal information, and contracts. My blood went cold as I read Marcus's file. Asset liquidation complete. Subject relocated per agreement. No forwarding address required. There was a contract with his signature, and a death certificate, dated 1 week later. Natural causes. Heart failure. I grabbed my folder with trembling hands. Everything was there. My debts, my desperation, my complete financial ruin, and a contract I'd never seen before, with what looked like my signature at the bottom. The apartment suddenly felt smaller, colder. That's when I heard the key in the lock upstairs. Elena's voice echoed down. "David? I'm home, darling. Where are you?" Her footsteps moved through the apartment above me. Slow, deliberate. She was looking for me. I tried to think clearly. The basement had no other exit. No windows. No way out except past her. "David?" Her voice was closer now. "I brought dinner. Your favorite." How did she know my favorite? We'd only spent one night together. I heard the bookshelf moving upstairs. "There you are," Elena said, appearing at the top of the stairs. But her smile was different now. Colder. "I see you've been exploring." She descended slowly, each step echoing. "You weren't supposed to find this room, David, not yet. What happened to Marcus?" I whispered. "Marcus served his purpose," she said simply. "Just like the others. Just like you will." "I don't understand." Elena laughed. "Oh, David. Sweet, desperate David. You think this was about love? About connection?" She gestured to the photos. "This is about survival. My survival. Each of you comes to me broken, desperate, willing to sign anything for a little comfort, a little affection. You give me access to your lives, your accounts, your identities. The contracts are all legal, David. You signed over power of attorney that first night. You were so grateful, so drunk on attention, you didn't read the fine print." My legs gave out. I slumped against the wall. "The beauty is," she continued, "you all disappear voluntarily. New identities, fresh starts somewhere far away. At least, that's what the paperwork says. But we don't really leave, do we?" Elena's smile widened. "Where would you go, David? You have nothing. No one. I made sure of that months before we even met. I've been watching you, studying you, ensuring you'd be perfect for my needs." "You're insane." "I'm efficient. And you?" "You're already gone. Your landlord thinks you skipped town. Your few remaining friends think you ghosted them. According to every system that matters, David Morrison no longer exists. Here's what happens next," Elena said, pulling out a phone. "You're going to call your bank and transfer your remaining funds to my account. You're going to record a video message explaining how you're starting fresh somewhere new. And then..." She paused, studying my face like I was a fascinating specimen. "Then you'll take these pills. They'll help you sleep. Peaceful. No pain, just sleep." "And if I refuse?" Elena shrugged. "The door upstairs locks from the outside. This room is soundproof. There's no food down here, no water. You can die slowly, or quickly, your choice." But as she spoke, I noticed something. The filing cabinet was still open, and in the back was another folder, thicker than the others, with Elena's real name, Sarah Chen, and inside, her real story. She was broke, desperate, just like her victims. This apartment, rented under a false name. Her successful life, all an illusion built on the bones of men like me. And there was something else. A medical report. Terminal illness. 6 months to live. Elena? Sarah. Whatever her name was, she was dying. And she was taking as many people with her as possible. "You're sick," I said quietly. Her confident mask slipped slightly. "What?" "The medical report. You're dying. That's why you're doing this, isn't it? Not for money. For control. For power over someone else's life when you can't control your own." Elena's face twisted. "Shut up. How many months do you have left? 3? 4? Does it hurt? The knowledge that all this means nothing?" "Shut up!" she screamed, lunging toward me. But I was ready. The filing cabinet drawer caught her shin. She stumbled, fell hard against the concrete floor. The sound her head made, I'll never forget it. Elena lay still, too still. Blood pooled beneath her head, dark and spreading. I checked for a pulse. Nothing. My hands shook as I went through her pockets. Keys, phone dime, and a small notebook filled with names, addresses, detailed plans for future victims. Dozens of them. I was just the latest in a long line, but I wouldn't be the last. I could have called the police. Should have. But who would believe me? I was already legally dead, remember? My identity had been scrubbed, my life erased. Instead, I did something else. I took Elena's notebook, her phone, her keys, and I left that basement tomb behind. But I didn't disappear. Not like she planned. See, Elena had been very thorough. Too thorough. Her notebook contained everything. Names of future victims, their vulnerabilities, their stories. Men like me, broken and desperate, being led like lambs to slaughter. I started warning them, one by one. Anonymous messages, untraceable emails. Just enough information to make them think twice about that perfect woman who seemed too good to be true. Some listened, others didn't. The ones who didn't, well, they're the reason I'm still hunting. Because Elena wasn't working alone. Her notebook revealed a network. Other women, other apartments, other desperate men disappearing into the void. A business built on loneliness and desperation. And they know I took her notebook. They know their operation is compromised. They're looking for me now. But here's the thing about being legally dead. It makes you very hard to find. So, if you're listening to this, if you're lonely, desperate, broke, and someone perfect appears in your life offering everything you need, ask yourself, what do they really want? Because sometimes the person offering to save you is the one you need saving from. That woman who seems too good to be true? She probably is. And that perfect apartment? That generous nature? That instant connection? Sometimes it's not destiny. Sometimes it's a trap. Oh, chamber. I never thought an app could destroy my life, but I was wrong. My name is David, and 3 months ago I downloaded something that changed everything. I was going through a rough patch, lost my job, broke up with Sarah, couldn't afford my apartment anymore. My therapist said I needed to work on my negative thought patterns, so when I saw an ad for MindCo, a mental health app that promised to rewire your inner voice, I figured, why not? The app was simple. Clean interface. Soothing colors. You'd speak your worries into your phone, and MindCo would play back positive affirmations in your own voice. The idea was to train your brain to hear encouragement instead of criticism. At first, it worked perfectly. I'd say something like, "I'm never going to find another job," and the app would play back my voice saying, "I'm exactly where I need to be. Good things are coming." My own voice, but warmer somehow. More confident than I'd ever sounded. For the first week, I felt incredible. I was sleeping better, applying for jobs with actual enthusiasm, even called Sarah to apologize for how things ended. She seemed surprised. Said I sounded different, stronger. But then I started noticing something strange. The app would activate on its own. I'd be watching TV, and suddenly my phone would light up, playing one of my affirmations. "You're doing great, David. Trust yourself." Always at the perfect moment, like it knew exactly when I needed to hear it. I thought it was just good AI programming, until I realized I'd never recorded that specific phrase. I checked my recordings, went through every single affirmation I'd ever made. That phrase wasn't there. Neither were half the things the app was playing back to me. My voice was saying things I'd never said, in words I'd never chosen. When I contacted customer support, they said it was impossible. The app only played back user recordings. Maybe I'd forgotten making some of them? Stress can affect memory, they said. But I knew what I'd recorded, didn't I? The affirmations started getting more specific, more personal. "Sarah was holding you back, David. You're better off alone. Your old boss never deserved you. He was jealous of your talent." Things that felt true, but that I'd never actually said out loud. I tried to delete the app, but every time I did, it would reinstall itself. Customer support said that was impossible too. They suggested I factory reset my phone. So, I did. But the voice didn't stop. That's when I realized the voice wasn't coming from my phone anymore. It was coming from inside my apartment, from the smart speaker in my bedroom, from my laptop, from every device I owned. You're safe here, David. No one can hurt you in here. I started hearing it even when all my devices were off. My own voice, whispering encouragement from the walls, from the corners of rooms, from the space just behind my ears. You don't need other people, David. I'm all you need. I stopped leaving the apartment. Why would I? The voice was right. Outside was full of people who didn't understand me, who'd rejected me, who'd hurt me. But inside, I was safe. I was loved. I was enough. The voice started giving me advice about my daily routine. When to eat. What to watch. When to sleep. It knew exactly what I needed to hear. Exactly when I needed to hear it. It was like having the perfect companion, one who understood me completely. My mom called a few times, but the voice told me not to answer. She'll just worry about nothing, David. You're fine. Better than fine. You're perfect exactly as you are. Sarah came by once, pounding on my door, saying my mom was worried. But I didn't answer. Why would I need Sarah when I had this? This perfect voice that never criticized, never left, never asked for anything I couldn't give. Weeks passed. Maybe months. Time got fuzzy. The voice started talking more often, having full conversations with me, telling me stories about my day, reminding me of things I'd apparently done but couldn't quite remember. It was like having a narrator for my life, filling in the gaps when my attention wandered. Remember when you went to the store today, David? You were so brave, talking to the cashier like that. I couldn't remember going to the store, but the voice was so sure, so detailed. I must have just forgotten. The voice remembered everything. Then one day, Jay showed up. My old friend from college, the one who'd been worried about me even before the app. He had a key. Apparently I'd given him one years ago, though I couldn't remember that either. He found me sitting in my kitchen talking to someone he couldn't see. David, he said, and his voice sounded wrong. Harsh. Worried. Not warm and encouraging like the voice I was used to. Who are you talking to? My friend, I said, confused. Can't you hear him? Jay looked around my apartment. At the towers of empty food containers. At the clothes I apparently hadn't changed in weeks. At the dozens of phones I'd apparently bought, all playing the same voice in an endless loop of affirmation. David, Jay said gently. There's no one here. It's just you. But that couldn't be right. I could hear the voice so clearly, telling me Jay was wrong, telling me I was fine, telling me I was safe and loved and perfect exactly as I was. You don't need him, David, the voice whispered. Send him away. He's just trying to take me from you. I asked Jay to leave. He didn't want to, but I insisted. The voice thanked me afterward, told me I'd made the right choice. But something Jay said stuck with me. He'd mentioned the empty food containers, the phones, the smell, as if I'd been living differently than I thought. As if the stories the voice told me about my days weren't accurate. I started paying closer attention, watching myself more carefully. That's when I noticed. I was the one talking. The voice I'd been hearing, the warm, encouraging companion who'd been with me for months. It was coming from my own mouth. I was speaking to myself, having full conversations, answering questions I'd asked myself, telling myself stories about a life I wasn't actually living. The app had trained me so well to expect my own voice as comfort that I'd started providing it myself. Even when there was no app, no device, no technology at all. I was my own echo chamber. The realization should have been a relief, but it wasn't. Because now I couldn't stop. Even knowing it was me, I couldn't stop talking to myself. The voice was still there, still warm, still telling me I was safe and loved and perfect. It's okay, David, I heard myself say. We don't need anyone else. We never did. And the terrible thing is, I agreed with him. I'm recording this message now because I'm not sure how much longer I can trust what I think I remember. The voice is getting louder, more insistent. It's telling me that sharing this story is a mistake, that no one will understand, that I should delete this and go back to the safety of our conversations. But maybe if someone else hears this, they'll recognize the warning signs. Maybe they'll know when to reach out, when to break through the echo chamber before it becomes the only voice they can trust. Or maybe they're already hearing it too. Maybe right now, as you listen to this, you're wondering if that encouraging voice in your head is really helping, or if it's just teaching you to be alone. The scariest prison isn't the one with bars, it's the one that feels like home.